Okay, our next podcast is we're continuing um, our lecture on digestion and nutrition. We've talked about the different types of digestive systems and different types of feeding mechanisms and feeding types and those types of things. And we've looked at the major compartments of digestive tracts in different organisms. I want to continue with one of those, and that's the small intestines. We mentioned that's where most of the nutrient absorption takes place. So this is a key structure in the digestive tract. Now, some of the design we see in the small intestines is what allows for that nutrient absorption. So we can see that the small intestines have these folds on the intestinal lining here. So they have these large circular folds on the intestinal lining, and then which gives it a lot more outer epithelial tissue, outer space, so the food touches it more. And another addition to increase the surface area are these small villi. And these are the small villi. You see these little stringy things all over these circular folds are the villi. And this just gives even more space for that nutrient absorption to take place. And the blood vessels are just where those nutrients, they run inside the lining of the small intestines, the blood vessels, and the food that is picked up there can go straight into the bloodstream and then travel to where it needs to for nutrition. So it's an important structure are these folds and villi of the small intestines. Now we also want to look at some variations within diets of animals. Herbivores and carnivores, if we look at their digestive tracts of very similar animals, we see some differences. And some of those differences are that the herbivore is going to have a longer digestive system. So here we see the cecum, very small cecum in the carnivore, large cecum in the herbivore. The large intestine is very long, relatively short. Sorry about that. Relatively short in the carnivore, and also the stomach itself is larger. And the purpose of this, the design behind this, is that the herbivore has to break down cellulose that's in the plant cells, and that's harder to break down than the cells of animals. And so we need a lot of different types of designs to help with that. And so a larger cecum that can input more enzymes and digestive process in the system, a uh, large intestine, longer large intestine, those type things are going to keep that food in the system longer and help with breaking down that cellulose. So that's what has to be addressed with herbivores, is breaking that cellulose down. Another way that herbivores take care of that is not just a longer system, but a different type of system. It's still a digestive system, but it has some unique and different compartments in it that we don't see in regular digestive tracts. And these animals are called ruminants. And cows, rabbits, things like that are animals that are ruminants. And the compartments are the omasum, rumen, abomasum, and reticulum. All right, so these four compartments um, are basically storage compartments, and the way it works is the animal takes food in. Here in this figure here, the green line shows the taking in of the food. It goes into rumen, large compartment, and then it moves up here to the reticulum where it moves around, starts some digestion there. Enzymes are beginning to attach to the food and breaking it down. And then the food goes back up to the mouth. This red line is showing what happens next. And the animal chews it again. So it's starting to digest, and then it comes back up and he chews it some more. And so again, the cellulose in the cells of this plant matter is not easy to digest, and so this is how these animals accomplish that. So it comes back up here, chews it again, and then it takes this blue line when it swallows it the second time. And in this case, it goes into the omasum and avomasum, and then it goes into our intestinal tract and more the traditional type digestive tract. So that's called ruminants, and we see that in some animals. Okay, so our last thing we want to talk about is the connection between these systems and that nutrient. So the purpose, or one of the main purposes of the digestive tract, is to get these nutrients out of here, absorb them into our body so we can survive. We need these nutrients and molecules in there for different things. We need it to fuel and power all the different metabolic processes in our body. We need the molecules to build larger molecules in our body, and we can't make them ourselves. So we have to take them in through this process, through eating them. So the nutrients that are absorbed help us to make ATP. ATP is the energy currency of the cell. We talked about that a lot in Bio 1. The whole cellular respiration process is a chemical process to make some of those molecules that hold energy in the bonds of it. So getting these nutrients in to these chemical processes helps us to make those ATP molecules. Now, the food that we eat, most of it has, well, the food has these nutrients in it. Some of it has more nutrients than others. There's a process of food labeling that the FDA does, and this food labeling tells us, how many calories, the amounts of nutrients that are in each one, and those type things. So we can go through and see kind of the nutrients that are in there and what we're getting if we want to. So this is important, and a healthy diet will help in getting those correct nutrients in for metabolism, energy production, those types of things in our cells. Okay, that is where we end for this lecture on digestion and nutrition. And our next topic, our next system that we look at is respiration. We'll look at that in our next podcast.